Hi, I'm Ailbhe McDonagh, and in this video we will be discussing string crossings. So what is a string crossing? This literally means when you are playing on one string and you move up to another one. It could be from lower to higher, or from a higher string to a lower string. Occasionally, you will need to do a string crossing that jumps with string. But I think for now, we'll just focus on the strings beside one another. So it's quite nice to get our level of one particular string, say for example the G string. And once we have that level found, we know where our elbow and where our hand is, and it feels very safe and secure. So often something that will upset the apple cart is where we have to move up and then find the new level for the next string. So this is quite an important thing to think about, is that we discussed at the very, very beginning our bow angles. So of course our C string, here we go. That's just missing the G string here in our angle, but when we go up to the G string, we want to arrive at our central point here. So we don't want to be hanging down too much towards the C string or pushing up too much. You really want to be right in the center. So think about that as you're doing your string crossings, because we need to move up in an arc enough that we get to the perfect level for the string we're going to. So we're going to do some string crossings now. The great news is that there are literally only 2 circles that you ever have to do with your bow for a string crossing. So what I'm talking about is this part of the bow here, and often I call them bovals. So bow ovals. Some people call them circles. We're going to start on a G string on a down bow to an up bow on the D string. Now look at my level of my elbow gets higher and my hand. So if you look at this point here, the screw in the bow, we're going to see from a down bow, it's an oval. Move up, move down, move up, move down, up, down. So you can see I'm actually going in an arc shape always. So I'll play the original note, and halfway through I move. Just to the point when I've reached my level on the D string. And then I'll move down through that note, down, 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 down. Move, move, move. So hopefully you can see that oval shape that this screw is doing. I like to almost imagine myself drawing an oval as I'm doing a string crossing. So we've just done a down bow from a lower string to an up bow on a higher string. So you could do this all day long. You can see that that's really just a very small oval there, okay? Now, the good news is that if you're doing an up bow from a higher string to a down bow on a lower string, that's exactly the same as what we just did. So it's the exact same circle. So even though we're starting on a different note, we're still doing a down bow on the lower string and an up bow on the higher string. So let's start from the up bow and just see the circle. So that's just an anti-clockwise circle. So anytime you're doing an upper string, up bow, to a down bow on a lower string, it will always be an anti-clockwise circle. So this sounds very advanced for starting off the cello, but I think that if you understand that circle from the very, very beginning, it adds a whole layer of smoothness to your legato playing. So really what's happening is, rather than me just starting on a down bow and kicking out a big angle straight away, I am using the arc every single time I do a string crossing. Now we're going to start on a lower string on an up bow, going to a higher string on a down bow. So it's the exact opposite of what we started the last time. So here we are. So you can see here, I'm doing a clockwise circle. Now this is obviously from the perspective of the player. So when my bow is going like this, it is now clockwise, okay? So again, have a look at that. And I can do that all day when I'm thinking about a circle. So again, the same direction. If we're starting on a down bow on top and then going to an up bow on a lower string. Exactly the same. So if you can get your head around those two circles, looking at this part of the screw, string crossings will never be a challenge for you ever. The other thing to think about is, how do we actually reach and play the other string? So let's say we start with an up bow on the lower string. We're doing clockwise circle. How do I actually move here and play this? Let's say if I don't have enough weight on this finger, I might get a little bit of a scratchy sound. We can, of course, practice, if we really want to make it very, very smooth, a tiny bit of the top note on the old bow direction. So for example, like this. So to see exactly what angle I need to get to, I do a little bit of the new note on the old bow first, just to see how close I can get, and then eventually I change the bow just before that moment. If we want to do a string crossing with a slurred bowing, we can often have something like so you can see this is sort of like a wave. So it's always circular. That's anti-clockwise, clockwise again, anti-clockwise. You can work out the circles, and often it's just a little shape. So it might be a figure of 8 when it's slurred bowings. Or for example, the beginning of the Bach prelude. So you can hear that. Even though it's 2 string crossings, change. We are changing the string twice here in one slur. And you can just see that the bow just does the first part of an anti-clockwise circle. Enjoy working on all of your circles here in our string crossings. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.